Hello, my name's Ian Upton and welcome to this Lightbite webinar on how to create a narrated PowerPoint video and how to add a transcript to that video. Let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so welcome to my desktop, and as you can see I'm using a Mac. If you're a Windows user, don't worry, everything I'm going to show you works identically on both systems. As you can see, I've got a PowerPoint here on my screen. Let me just run that. Hopefully this is quite familiar. You can see I've got my slides over on the left and my edit area, or my editable slide, on the right. And this is a complete PowerPoint. This is something that I could take into a workshop or a lecture, put up on the screen and deliver a learning experience for my students. But I don't have the option to go into lecture theatres at the moment, so I need to put this or put these materials up online where my students can access them asynchronously. So I need to create something that I can upload and students can access from wherever they are in the world. So how do we do this? Let's get started. Well, there are lots of different ways that you can add a narration to a PowerPoint. So this is just one. But I like this version because it means I can add a narration to this PowerPoint slide by slide. I'm not having to attempt to record the whole lecture in one go. I know if I did that, I'd inevitably make mistakes. I'd then look at the video and go, oh, look at that mistake, and then end up trying to video edit the mistake so it was corrected. A lot of hassle, a lot of skills needed, a lot of faff. By creating your narration slide by slide, you get more time to focus on each slide, and you can take the time to get each slide right. So for me, I find it a much more productive way of creating a narration to put with my PowerPoint. So let's have a look how. First of all, there's a slight difference between Mac and Windows when it comes to menus. So on a Mac, the main menu for the application is always displayed at the top of the screen. On Windows, that menu is displayed on the top of the window of the application. So there's a slight difference there, so just be aware of that. Now, PowerPoint appears to have two menus. We have the main menu here, and we have what's called the ribbon bar here, but it does look a bit like a menu. If I click the options a couple of times on that ribbon bar, you can see that it reveals a whole set of icons. And I think what's happened here is Microsoft have grouped together similar icons with, I think, with an attempt to make the user interface more intuitive. Now the option I want, it's on the ribbon bar, is called Insert. So let me just click that. If you can't see the icons, click the option a couple of times. And then the icon I'm going for is this media icon over at the end of the bar. I'm going to click down, I'm going to click audio, and I'm going to click record audio. This enables me to add a bit of sound, a bit of audio to this particular slide. The sound can have a name, but to be honest, I just leave them as recorded sound. And we can see here we've got some familiar controls, including a record button. So let's record the narration for this slide. Hello, welcome to Introduction to Teaching in Higher Education, and welcome to Face-to-Face Workshop 1. I click stop, I can click play. Hello, welcome to Introduction to Teaching in Higher Education, and welcome to Face-to-Face Workshop 1. That's fine. So I'm going to click Insert, and PowerPoint places it into my slide. Now we can see where PowerPoint's placed it. It's put this little speaker icon right in the middle of the screen. Okay, so I know there's a narration on there, but the little speaker is blocking my text. So that's a bit useless. So what I'm going to do is click the little speaker icon, and I'm going to drag it down and just pull it off the slide. Now, the fact it's not on the visible slide doesn't mean it's off. It's not part of the slide. It is part of the slide. It just means I won't be able to see it, which is what I want. Okay, that's that. And that's it. That's how I add a narration to a single slide. Let's do it again. I'm going to select the second slide this time, my About slide. Going to the ribbon bar, again, the Insert option on the ribbon bar. Just click it so I can see the icons. I'm going to click Media, Audio, and Record Audio. Get this little box up. I'm going to leave the name the same, Recorded Audio, and I'm going to click Record. but this time I'm going to make a deliberate mistake. Hello and welcome, deliberate mistake. Now, let's have a listen. Hello and welcome, deliberate mistake. Obviously, I don't want that to go into my slides. So how do I fix it? It's really straightforward. All I need to do is click record again. PowerPoint scrubs out everything that's gone before, and I start off with a nice new recording. So let's do that. Excuse me. Today, we're going to offer you a reassurance that you can put your materials online. We're going to explore the challenge of teaching online. And we're going to have a look at some of those theories we've been studying and seeing how we can make them a real part of our own teaching practice. Okay, I'm not going to review that. This is a demo. I'm going to assume it's okay. So I'm going to click Insert. Got the little speaker in the middle of the screen again. I'm going to click it, drag it off so it doesn't get in the way of the materials on my slide. And there we go. And that's it. That's all there is to creating a narrated PowerPoint. Now, a word of advice. It is easy, and it's very tempting at this point to go yomping through your whole presentation. So imagine you're doing slide narration, slide narration, slide narration, and you get all the way to your presentation. It's all perfect, it's all wonderful, okay? And then the power goes on your laptop and you lose all your work. A bit of advice, a discipline that I'd recommend is that every time you complete a slide, click Save. That way, if there is a disaster, and disasters do happen, all you will lose is a single slide. You won't lose your whole presentation. Okay, so there we go. Now, imagine I've gone through this whole presentation and I'm all narrated. What do I do now? Well, I could sort of fiddle around in PowerPoint and get it to sort of play, but I should be honest, it's a bit of a faff. And the easiest way to review your work at this point is to just create a video. It is so straightforward to do. It's easier to create the video, review the video, and then if you need to change it, just go back into the PowerPoint. So let me show you how to create the video. This time I'm going to the main menu, not the ribbon bar menu. So on my Mac, that's up on the top of the screen. On Windows, you'll find it's on the top of the application. I'm going to click File, Export. This pulls up a box here. Okay, again, these will look slightly different on Windows and Mac. On my Mac, basically, it's telling me I'm going to have a file called 7010 CRB F2F1 online, and it's going to put it on the desktop. If you're a Windows user, you can use the dialog to choose where you want to put your file. In terms of the file format, it's popping up here PDF. I don't want a PDF. What I want is an MP4. Now, an MP4 is a video format, and it's fab for putting onto the web. It's detailed, it's clear, the sound is nice, but the file sizes aren't too big. And I can further refine it because at the moment, PowerPoint's going to do this at presentation quality. So I'd be able to show this video on a huge screen, okay? I'm not, it's going on the web. I don't need to have that much information. So I'm actually going to say internet quality. This is a slightly lower quality, but it's absolutely perfect for delivery on the web. And the file size is so much smaller. And the smaller file sizes make these things much easier to manage later on. So that's what I said, MP4 internet quality. Don't worry about anything else in this box. And now I'm going to click Export. Now, what's happening in the background is that PowerPoint is creating my video. And a word of warning, creating video is a very, very intensive thing for a computer to do. So it's not going to be instant. My video here, where I've only narrated 2 slides, just with a sentence each, is probably going to take PowerPoint at least a minute to create. If you created something more substantial, it could take quite a long time. So if PowerPoint's sitting there and nothing appears to be happening, don't worry, it's working very hard in the background. Go and make yourself a cup of tea, go for a walk or whatever, and when you come back, you'll find that your video has been completed, like mine has now and is available on the desktop. So let me just save PowerPoint and close PowerPoint, leaving me with a clear desktop. Let's have a look at the video. So as we can see here, it's opened up. I can see it nice and clearly, so that internet quality is absolutely fine for what I want. Let's play it and see what's happened. Hello, Welcome to Introduction to Teaching in Higher Education, and welcome to Face-to-Face Workshop 1. Today we're going to offer you a reassurance that you can put your materials online. We're going to explore the challenge of teaching online, and we're going to have a look at some of those theories we've been studying and seeing how we can make them a real part of our own teaching practice. Okay, so you can see how the narration's been added to each slide. I'm just going to leave the PowerPoint running in the background. Obviously, these slides haven't got a narration, but look what was happening. On each slide, I had a narration. So PowerPoint presented my slide, okay, played the narration. At the end of the narration, moved to the next slide. Played the narration, moves to the next slide. It's really nice. I don't have to worry about timings and things, and my delivery sounds nice and fluid. Okay. And that's all there is to it. So I'm going to close this video here. So now I've got to the point where I've created a video. Now, before we move on, let's just have a little think about putting materials online. Now, a thought, if you're used to using professional learning or professional online learning environments, perhaps like lynda.com or FutureLearn, have you ever seen a 30-minute video or an hour video that learning experience expects you to sit down and view? The answer is no. If you look on these platforms, you will see that they usually break the sessions into little manageable chunks, perhaps no longer than 5 minutes. And the reason for this is the research shows that it makes it much more palatable for students. They're able to look at this stuff on their mobile phones, look at it in little chunks or whatever when they have time, and it makes that whole online experience, that asynchronous online experience, far more palatable. So if you're going to create a narrated PowerPoint, why not just take a few more minutes to think about that PowerPoint, maybe break it into chunks, logical chunks, subjects, topics, points, or whatever, and have a series of videos that perhaps are no longer than 5 minutes. Then when you mount them up to Aula, or when you mount these up, the student can work their way through in a way that's shown to be effective. It's just a thought, but something that you could do now before you mount your materials online. Okay, so I could mount this video exactly as it is, but I do have an issue. As a lecturer, I'm required to be able to support all students who might want to sort of access my course. And of course, not all students might not be able to sort of view and hear this video in the same way that I can. So I need to add a transcript. This is text. So where I speak, okay, I also have text that goes along that students who perhaps aren't able to hear me as well are able to sort of read. So they're not sort of denied access to this resource. Now, transcoding used to be a really very, very difficult thing to do, or sorry, transcribing, not transcoding, and would involve sort of sitting down and typing all sorts of stuff in your video editor. Thankfully, today, the whole process is a lot easier. And the easiest way I found recently to do it is to use an application called Screencast-O-Matic. And let me show you how, using Screencast-O-Matic, it is easy to add a transcript. So I'm just going to run Screencast-O-Matic. There we go. Now, more typically, Screencast-O-Matic is used for creating webinars like this. So you can click record and it records your desktop and your voice and all that sort of carry on. It's a great way of doing stuff. But you can also simply load in a video. So let me do that. Hang on, just got to, oops, getting some funny buttons there. I'm going to import a video. So I'm going to import this video, which has been created on my desktop, the one I've just created. There we go. Give it a moment, and we can see here, here's the video. And I'm going to open that up. There's my video. Now, have a look over here. I've got save as a video file, which is what I want to do. But what I want to do is click this CC, closed captions button. What happens here is that Screencast-O-Matic will analyze the video, listen for me speaking or listen for spoken word, and then turn that into text. So make sure that speech to text is selected. Obviously, I'm speaking in English. You could choose other options if you wanted, and I'm going to click Start. What's happening now, Screencast-O-Matic, first of all, has identified where there's chunks of text, And then it's gone through and analysed that speech and turned it into text. So we can see it here. Now, as with all of these speech-to-text systems, they're not always perfect. So let's have a look. Welcome to Introduction to Higher Education. That's fine. Welcome to Face-to-Face Workshop 1. That's fine. Today we can offer you a reassurance, blah, blah, blah. Weekend to explore. So there's obviously a problem there, but I can just go in and say, we can explore the challenge of teaching online. And then, okay, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you get the idea. Where Screencast-O-Matic has perhaps got the words slightly wrong, I have the option to go in and edit them. It's great. Okay, so I'm going to click OK. That transcript is now part of my video file. Now, obviously I need to save that, so I'm going to save it as a video file here. Click. Get some options here. I'm going to publish it to my desktop. There we go. And I'm going to just allow it to run. And we can see again, creating video is quite an intensive activity. This is quite a short video, so it's whizzing through this quite well. But if you had a longer video, it could take a bit of time to go and get a cup of coffee, do some emails, or perhaps go for a walk. So we'll just wait for that to run through. There we go, that's finished. I'm going to say OK, I'm going to close Screencast-O-Matic. And I can see here's my new video file on screen. Let me run this one. And watch what happens this time. Hello, welcome to Introduction to Teaching in Higher Education, and welcome to Face-to-Face Workshop 1. Today we're going to offer you a reassurance that you can put your materials online. We're going to explore the challenge of teaching online, and we're going to have a look at some of those theories we've been studying and seeing how we can make them a real part of our own teaching practice. Okay, there was two words there that were a bit strange, which I could have fixed and I didn't. But can you see how at the bottom of the video, I've actually got the text. So now this PowerPoint, this narrated video, is accessible to all. So I've created the file and I can now upload it and allow my students to access it asynchronously as part of my course.